All right, my friends, let's go. I did not finish yesterday. I got a delicious snack on my hand, maybe a little too delicious. And we are going to do this, but we also have to do Eric the Nerd. Eric the Nerd. Um, he submitted some stuff. I cry beam a little bit more. Be a little bit better. Wait, no, that's the chess nerd. That's a different guy. I know the chess nerd. We got to have Eric the Nerd. The Nerd. Eric, there he is. Eric the Nerd. So Eric the Nerd submitted, did a graduation, but the time controls were too fast for his cohort. So I didn't look at his game, but then he said, dude, if I submit some games, some proper games, would you look at it? So, all right, I said, let's do it. So here we go, games, my games. And these, I think, are very recent OTB games. So yeah, let's give it a look. This looks like a roughly equal contest between Eric and Hunter. Now, you might say, Jesse, how come I can't see the pieces? Well, we've got a new thing that I was playing around with here where I can set it to invisible, and I'm not going to do that now. But the point is actually it's a cool thing where you can do a lot of visualization training without any pieces. And tomorrow I'm starting this board visualization class, and I'm going to use things like that. So that was a new feature that I asked from Jack for that class, but also just as a cool thing when you do the solitaire chess, trying to remember a game, and it tells you if you get the move right. So, you can go see if you can remember a game that way with it blind. Okay, here we go. Clock usage. We got nothing. Now, this is pretty standard for somebody who starts at the dojo, new to the dojo. But one of the things we'll see with this game is writing down the times will be helpful for you and for me, both during the game for you and after the game for both of us, to see what was going on in the decision-making process. And all you have to do is write down the move times. It's not as much work as it seems. All right, here we go. Game review. I got to put in my proper windows. I get. Hunter Hong. That's a pretty good chess name, dude. I know it's just a good name in general. Hunter Hong. All right, here we go. So, fine. This move order is generally thought to be a little soft, and black can play e5 here. But he plays g6. Okay. Probably okay. Fine. c3. Castles. Okay, so white is transposed into a setup that's generally pretty reasonable for white, nothing special. I would say the challenge for white in a position like this is they need to understand that they want to hold the center. Once you commit to c3, you'll be like, dude, I'm just going to hold it. I'm not going to mess with it at all. I'm just going to hold it. So, anyways, proper to me seems rook e8 and e5 here. c5 I don't like, but I also am a little suspicious of white's next move, d5. So think about this poor knight. It's dominated by this pawn. The second we move this guy, well, at least the knight on d7 has some dreams. And does the pawn on c3 make sense? No, it wants to be on c4 if you're going to play d5. Okay. So the standard move for white should be knight d2. Instead, we see d5, c4, frisky. I don't know about this. In principle, I'm going to say I don't like it. I think you could get something close to equality here with knight g4, and then you have the e5 square. Still an interesting position. Now, big choice for white. It'd be good for us to know what we were, what the timestamps were, just as an example, right? Indie Chess asks, should we be writing times for every move? Well, look, some people do it different, okay? But some people like do it every 5 moves. That's fine. And then in the time graph, you'll get a little staircase. Personally, some people do it every single move. I do it on any move that isn't like automatic. So if it's an automatic recapture, I'm not going to do it. Or a lot of times if we're following opening theory for a while, I'm not going to do it there either. But then at a certain point, that theory will end, and then you just write down the time as, whatever the time is. Okay, so I like both bishop c2 and bishop takes c4 for white. Bishop takes c4 seems more ambitious to me, but I don't understand now why we aren't playing rook e1. Is there a reason? Rook e1 seems correctamundo. And here I would say you gotta think about taking on d2. He goes this way, and now white's just clearly better. And he says inaccurate. Going for pressure on e7 when he still has to deal with the badly placed bishop. Now maybe I blew that. maybe I mixed that one up. So I just want to say, yeah, okay, maybe it's true. Maybe he did kind of sort of blow it here. Is it true though? Okay. As long as if he can find a way not to lose the pawn, which I don't know if it's true yet, but if he can find a way not to lose the pawn here, then we're doing pretty good, because this is just a nice structure for white. Okay. Queen c7, and now bishop g3. I don't get bishop g3. All right, so the candidate moves, I think, would be rook ad1 or h3. We generally want to put a question mark next to the move that doesn't do anything. What are we doing? What are we doing? Come on. Bishop g4, and now another move that doesn't do anything. Queen b4. I don't get it. So boom, boom, and maybe you're winning now. Good move. All right, man. Yeah, you're just crushing him now. Good move. And now it looks like it's over. You have the pawn and the compensation here. One of the things that we can say is nice about your game is my experience with these little Asian kids, I'm assuming that's who you're playing here, is they will often make positional mistakes, and then you think they're idiots and you think you're going to win easily, but then they can be really, tough later on in the game. So that's my experience anyway. Anyways, but now you're winning so handily that we shouldn't really have a trouble. I like your move. F5's a nice square. I don't understand that move. He's going to go hunting for pawns. Okay. I think I'm okay with what you're doing. Good. Yeah. All right, good. Good take back. There was no need for you to play rook a2. Okay. Rook a7's fine. If I can avoid being passive, I'd like to avoid being passive. So knight f5 looks pretty good. And the just general narrative is that he's always lost in any of the endgames because the bishop on g3 is so toast. But you're winning still. Good. Rook d8. I don't know about rook d8. I still want you to come over here and penetrate. Don't worry about him taking this thing. Okay, maybe a little annoying. Good move. The poor guy, man. His bishop's so dead. What is he supposed to do? Okay, like you said, playing for tricks doesn't really help him. D5, good move. And now he does this. It's not going to help. Now, hold on. This move, that move breaks my soul a little bit. What are we doing? That's the first move I didn't like. That was like, uh-oh. That's truly miserable. Nordovich asked, regarding the Chess Dojo app, I downloaded it from the browser but can't find it in the App Store. Huh. So, wait a second. You can't find the app in the App Store? I'll tell you one thing, Nordovich. I'm not the one to talk to about that kind of thing, dude. I feel like, yeah, someone gave me a link, and that's how I downloaded mine. Huh. Now, actually, I have a tentative answer to your question, actually. One reason, Jack, was like we've wanted to have an app for a long time. And one reason it just simply took forever was because he was concerned, rightly, that places like Apple give you a lot of grief before they ratify your app, and they charge you some money on the app too. I don't know. So my guess is that there's some process question still happening with the app. That's just my guess. But I'm going to write it out here. So app not findable. We have a meeting tomorrow. I'm going to bring that up. Okay. All right, so knight g3, a huge chess crime. No me likey. I love this move, but this one I can't get behind. No, you can take that whenever. That bishop's not going anywhere. All right, now the kid plays rook b3. It's truly a bad scene. We're not doubting that. Uh-oh, now I'm sure you're doing fine. You're just making me nervous. Okay. Well, that wasn't it. That queen c1 wasn't it. Good. Goodbye. Very nice. Eric, that was a great game, bud. And pretty good annotations. And even if I, hated knight g3, I'm sure you were still winning there at the end. And I didn't actually see this thing about Stockfish disapproving here. But that's honestly, it's a little bit of a thing from just experience where I know that in this setup we want to play for e5. But also when you think about it strategically, c5 isn't really, it's not doing anything. Now, Stockfish might like the d5, but still to my human eye, that's not what we want to do in this setup. The setup wants to control d4 and never let your bishop have the diagonal, as it later does. What's cool about the game too, Eric, is you're playing one of these kids. I think they're very tough, and you won, dude. You won by outplaying him positionally. He had no understanding of chess. Tactically, he might be a genius, but you didn't need to. You didn't need to show him that. Yeah, Nordovich, I'm not the guy. All right, let's go back to the grad show. Next up, we've got, Puzzling World. Puzzling World says, while I didn't mark it in Dojo in the months leading to my tournaments, I did complete the following courses. Introduction to Chess Calculation, Chess Crime and Punishment, I like that. The Art of Exchanging Pieces, identifying my opponent's move. Also, so this dude, who I think his name is pronounced Chan and not Khan, 3 courses by that guy. Pretty cool, too, that you were doing non-opening courses. And there he is, USCF 1200, very nice. Endgame Magician is asking about a club for yesterday's arena tourney. I don't have the answer, but maybe somebody in chat has the answer to that question. All right. Get back to it, Kraai. Don't get distracted. Don't get distracted. Puzzling World, tell us something about yourself. Do you got some games? He's got some games. And there's a whole My Games problem here where people are not putting it in the My Games, and I'm dying. So he feels he's a little higher. So he's playing Liberty Bell under 1900. Okay. And he's going to be playing an 1800 here. Dang. Again, we would want to see the clock times here. Very useful for everybody involved. All right. Little weird, but I'm not going to say nothing. I'm not going to say nothing. Also, White's not playing that ambitiously. White's playing kind of chump chess here. Now, so I don't like knight d takes e7 at all. What are we doing here? Your queen, this is a developing move. This is not. This knight has prospects over here. It does not want to move. So poor in terms of development. C3 doesn't look right. No, actually, maybe it's fine. He wants to play d4. Okay. Fine. And now he dominates you. You correctly break the chain. And here White should at least ponder h4. If you're going to play g3, you have to be thinking about h4. Okay, interesting. Again, we should at least ponder h4. Now your opponent's playing a reasonable chess. At least the last couple moves, I like the bishop on e4. Now, I think a lot of this stuff might be computer-based. I don't know if you want to be playing f5. That looks insane to me. Yeah, I don't understand. So, queen e2, maybe, but maybe probably just bishop e2 here. But I understand what you want. I don't know. It's not totally convincing to me. Because your knight isn't operating, and who knows what this guy's going to do. B3 even here. So I don't know. There might be some computer thing that I'm not seeing here, but your move is very human. To play knight b4 here. Very human. I don't quite understand why we're taking on c2. So again, kind of like the way he was developing your queen with knight takes e7 and you didn't take it. Now when you take here, you're developing his queen. So I don't understand that. Okay, fine. Okay. And now b4. So the kid's basic problem is, I don't know why it might not be a kid. But the guy's problem is that he needs a plan here, and that isn't it. I think on a practical level, he should maybe ponder knight e5, takes, rook c7, you know, that kind of thing. At least he would have some good compensation for the pawn. All right, so b4. Okay. wants to do this to you. And now he takes and is going to play g4. Maybe this move here, right here now. Good. And then we get the spice move here. Knight takes d4. Good move. Okay, wait though. Why wouldn't we take on G for first? And then here, why are we taking on G4? All right, so let's just see what's going on here. I don't know, this looks totally winning to me. You don't need to see this far, though. You just fix your king here, and he's eventually going to have to take your pawn, and you're going to take his pawn. So g5, king g7 looks like a pretty good move. Let me just say, calculation or not, why aren't we taking the pawn? We got to take that pawn, dude. We got to take this pawn. Good move, race to DM. Yeah, so knight e5 was even stronger than I thought it was. So that's what happens here. Okay, and now white acquiesces immediately. And we have a fascinating position where we're going to call this technically drawn. However, what I'm hoping actually is dude did a deep analysis here. Let's look. Not really. Not really. So a key problem that we see in dojo annotations, which speaks nothing, I think, about the dojo and more just players at the lower levels, is they don't know how to analyze the endgame. They feel anxiety about the endgame. And so this position here, this one is ripe for analysis. This is really interesting. So, in general, the rule of thumb is that if I get my pawn to h5 or h4, I'm giving white the business. And in this one, there's some people like Kostya and David, they don't even get that white might have trouble, but they've never truly been worked. Interestingly, my old coach, Golden, said about this position that, you know, a GM should beat a 2000 player all the time. And what is, just to understand what that means like, oh, there's a lot going on in this position. There's a lot of variations. And here, Puzzling World, look, you don't know variations. All right, here we go. Very controversial move. Definitely king g2 makes a lot more sense. So now he's giving you possibilities to fix the pawn with like h5, right? So king h2, right away you could ponder h5, and I don't, it's getting a little sticky. Now my question would be, okay, what about white playing h5 here? And he goes for it. Now what about you playing king g5? Are you afraid of rook b7? I guess. So one of the reasons I want to play h5 was to not have to deal with this. But I still think we have to analyze king g5 here. Now maybe it's just too annoying after rook b7, but we still need to think about it. Okay, king f6, f3. This guy clearly feels no danger at all. Check, that just helps white. Now you're just dancing around. I don't know what you're doing. Okay, in general, a mistake to give us the pass pawn. And now this is, okay, let's give him a chance. and we have a full drawn position. Okay. And then somehow later, this guy took here, buddy. What are you doing? This was an 1800. This was an 1800. Okay, couple things. We need to see the times. It'd be interesting to know. Yeah, I got to do a screenshot here because we just did the endgame course. Okay, so we're gonna go snip snap here. We're gonna do a little snipping tool action. Let's just snip this real quick. We're gonna post this. Darn it. Oh, man, I just did it and I blew it. Oh, cry, can't you get it together? I got to go save as, man. Save as. All right. I know. I should be doing other things. Dom, thank you very much. So, let's play. Let's go over here. Where's my little endgame club? Black or white played. Rook takes G3 here. Or white and 1800. All right. Now how do I add? I gotta add a little picture. Post. Post. Post it. Okay. So get back to it, Kraai. You're getting distracted, buddy. You're getting distracted. Do you have the slide bar for Twitch? Oh, sorry. Yeah, bud. I feel like, let me look. Let me look if I got bump, bump, bump. Uh-oh, wait a second. Where am I? Pop, pop, pop. Yeah, I got some audios for you, bud. I'm right here. I got it going. I'll turn it up for you a little bit. Bang. Bang. There we go. All right, I turned it up a little bit. Somebody rated me, by the way, and I don't even know. No, maybe it wasn't a rate. It might just be like chess.com featuring us or something like that. In any case, if you're just joining us, this is the Chess Dojo Training Program Graduate Show, where we celebrate people who have gone from one 100-point band to another. So like 300 to 400 to 500, 600. In this Malaya's case, they went from 12 to 13 to 13, 14. Now, Malaya doesn't say too much. I think they just joined us, see? They just joined us, and they're ready to graduate pretty much again over there. Their FIDE rating's way high, so they might just be in another level. A lot of times when people haven't just joined us, they haven't really marked stuff. But here we got stuff here from Malaya. Uh-oh. We definitely, in order for me to go over a game, though, I gotta have some annotations here. So Malaya, hopefully we can see some games from you next time. And now we're gonna go on to Andy, Pawn of Gerald, which is one of our great names. Let's read what Andy says. After a 2-year hiatus due to a new job, I finally have time for chess once again. My rating plummeted over my couple of weeks back, but an intentional focus on game analysis and tactics has started to pay off, as I have just poked my nose back up over 1850 lead chess. I've really enjoyed the Mastering Time course from Kraai, thank you very much, because the idea of a lead in development always seemed vague and elusive to me. I have a lot to learn there, but I'm working on it. Cool. Yeah, I did that course. My favorite part of the course was that it was all dojo games. So, I've been doing this show forever, and it was inspired by players at Andy's level here. So kind of like 1,000, the 1,000 cohort, which is like 1250 chess.com, to like 1,600. That range where people, they're not hanging pieces, but they are hanging tempi. And so the course is all about getting people sensitive to the idea of tempi and then practicing how to take advantage of it. All right. Oh, poor Andy Pond of Gerald. He fell down a little bit, but you can see he did make it before he fell back down. Started in January and is looking pretty good. High school math teacher turned principal. Dang, okay. Clubs. He's in Indiana. He's got a guy in there. He looks a little bit like Mike Pence. That might be Mike Pence in the picture, bud. Indie Chess, I'm going to go back and look. I might have done it last, I think I did it yesterday. Had to do 2 days of review because it was just so long yesterday. Okay, do we have a time graph? We do, and here Andy Pond of Gerald is playing a very typical situation, especially online, where somebody isn't thinking too much. So let's go game review now. So he thinks he's already got an advantage after d5, maybe. This was a variation that was fashionable years ago. Good. And I think your h3 move is fine. So something to understand about just my dogmatism here is you're thinking I'm going to yell at you because it's not a developing move, but the point is really that if he takes, we're going to gain another developing tempo right there. And if he doesn't take, then h3 is a reasonable improvement to our position. So I'm okay with h3. Bishop b3 less so. Castles makes a lot of sense to me. Also, the gambit with knight e5 is kind of interesting as well. Because then, look, when they take, we develop the queen. Now knight e5, okay. Queen d2. Now, it's a little cumbersome here, but I appreciate what you're doing. And now rook 81. Fine. I like that you're just developing. I like it. Bishop e7, and then this move is a little funky. But I understand it's hard for you to come up with a plan at this point. I think you should be looking toward ideas with bishop f4. So you could calculate bishop f4, queen b4. There's a lot to say there, actually. And then you could also think about your weird a3 move or just going queen c1 to preemptively protect it. Knight g5, I don't like it. All right, he plays bishop g6. Let's presume he's right. Now you go a3, h6, knight f3, queen d7. Okay, black's not doing anything. And now you go bishop d3. Clearly this bishop is traumatizing you. And you talk about b4, and I like b4 a lot. I like b4 a lot because you need to start some aggression over there against his king. Okay, I understand king b8. It's not so bad. Okay. So not taking wasn't a great move. Helped your queen consolidate. Now we're going to go into an endgame. And you say this is equal. Well, I'd say you're probably a little bit better because his knight is constrained. Now, do I like this move? No. What are you doing? The queens are off. It's time to put the rook on the file. Maybe. a4, good move. c6, I don't get it. Please give him a check. Thank you. A little passive. You're a traitor. You're a traitor. Uh-huh. Okay. Okay, now let's get that e-file. Look what he did to his knight, by the way. Thank you very much. Knight c8. Okay, so he's kind of holding it together. f4. I don't understand rook g8. f5. Okay, rook d8. Oh, he's just going to go back and forth. Let's improve our position. Nice. Let's improve. I'm not sure I get that one. Where you go? Where you go? I like your patience. Do I like that one? Let's just say that if you were going to bring the king over here, then you should ponder bringing it here, popping him, rocking him. He can't move. So a5 makes the position static, and then it's only now you change your mind. Check to the miserable king. I like that. Black didn't do that well. Check. That wasn't a check. And now I think you're winning. I think this is just winning. King c4, good. King c4, good note. Offers you a draw, forget about it, buddy. No draw. Then his time ran out. Because he didn't know what to do anymore. You've done the lockdown on him, Gerald. You gave him the old lockdown. Yeah. You locked him here down. You locked him here down. He was like, I've had enough, Gerald. I can't take anymore. You got me. Definitely a winning position. So that was a nice game, Gerald. All right, let's go back. And did I miss Indy? Pretty sure we did Indy yesterday. Let me just read what he said, and then we'll see if we remember. I'm pretty sure we did Indy. Maybe, Indy, you can go check the yesterday's business. Yeah, because I got all the way to Quinton yesterday. All right, next up is Stuart. And Stuart says, delighted to graduate to the next cohort, even though I lost my most recent match and dropped back below the threshold, hopefully only temporarily. I had nearly exhausted all of the prescribed tasks in my cohort and had really enjoyed the tasks selected by the dojo. All the tasks selected for my level and the advice from game reviews and grad shows really resonated. Looking forward to a new syllabus of homework in the next cohort. The only thing that did not resonate with me is the advice to slow down and use the clock time. No problem there with me. I have actually exactly the opposite problem. So many points, half points lost because I'm down to fumes in the fuel tank of time. When I later review my games, I can see so much time lost in earlier intuitive decisions or marginal decisions. I think Rowson would say I'm guilty of the sin of thinking. Despite identifying this trend, I can't seem to kick the habit. It would be great to get a review of my recent Yorkshire League match, which we'll do, where he spent too much time. All right, yeah. Now, of course, when we talk about time wasted, one of the things that I think our time management rating is really cool with is for most players, let's say maybe it's around this where we start to get a little bit murky. But definitely everybody in the below one, not everybody, but just about everybody below the 1,000 cohort doesn't know how to think yet, and they're moving too fast. After that, then we get a trickling of people like Stuart who really enjoy thinking, but might be thinking too long. And then you get to the very top, and there are few GMs who have the trouble of thinking too little. And you definitely got a people who think too long. Gukesh is a great example that everybody knows. Okay, here's Stuart. He's coming back. He's crushing the heat map. Yeah, look at that. He's doing it. And so beautiful. Rediscovered the dojo. Lovely. Now, so he's in Leeds. Maybe we'll get a Leeds club, I lived in England ages ago, probably before Stuart was born, but I never went to Leeds. All right, here we go. Well, let's turn this, do the game. Ba-boom. Do we got some clock? We do. So first of all, Stuart, your clock, at least, to move here, looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. And, okay, we're going to get into, there's a youth opponent. Why do I say, no, it's not youth, it's Yorkshire. It's not youth. Anyways, Yorkshire is going to move a little too fast. All right, let's go to game review. Fine chess so far. Okay. You're doing fine. So you say, I spent 4 minutes here deciding whether to castle kingside or queenside. An intuitive decision that I got very wrong. Okay. Is it really bad? It's hard to imagine that it's really bad what you did there. It's definitely more spicy for you to go this way. Definitely spicier. Now, one obvious question that we didn't address was what happens if white plays d5 at some point. And for example, after this move b5, you actually think for a long time and then play d5. Which, I'm having trouble figuring out how to evaluate. So here we go. Let's try it. d5, knight a5, and now you played a3. I can get behind this. And now bishop f5, knight d4. Good. I don't mind your position here. I think at the beginning the position was roughly equal, and now we have ourselves an interesting mess. Notice he can't do knight e4 because his knight's hanging over here. He goes e5. You think for a long time and play knight f5. Okay. He takes. Good. And definitely I think here queen e3. Because, well, there might be some virtue. No, queen e3 is just much more natural. You can put the queen or the rook later on d4. But I think your intuition, right, was you wanted to mess with him somehow here. The problem is he can always block you out here with e5, right? I don't think I like this move, but I also see what you're doing. You want to do some fancy here. Queen d7 doesn't look right. I think he's got to get ready to... Well, this is actually interesting. Because the problem is, your knight is coming over here. Hold on. Maybe knight a2 is a full genius level move. Knight a2, maybe. At first I was like, that's not a good move. But it's growing on me. The main point being that if we get the knight there, it's not just cute, but it blocks the ability of this queen to get in our face here. Great move. Queen d4. Now you're doing great. Good. That can't be wrong. And then you said, thank you very much. Now, here's a stockfish thing with rook f6. I don't know. I don't know if I would have seen that, dude. Let's show it. That's a typical computer thing. Look at that thing. No one was looking at the queen being trapped, dude. No one was looking at that. That's a bummer for you, huh, buddy? Dang. That's a bummer. Stuart's in the chat on the YouTube. Great. Okay. So, I would have taken that thing. It's hard. Well, maybe one sees it, but I don't know. I don't know. Queen h4. Now, does that help us? I'm unsure about queen h4. It looks a little cheap. Now, what we got to say here about this position is this is very reminiscent of, there's a lot of positions. Imagine you're playing a King's Indian and there's a bishop on e3. There's a lot of positions where they sack precisely to get this structure. And the problem is it's very difficult for white to make any progress here. So even though this looks fantastic for white, it's actually kind of hard. Now, my gut here for you is you should be playing something like doubling the rooks. So this happens. I think they want to play queen e7 anyway. I don't understand that move. I'm not sure I get a lot of this. Okay, now it's funny. It's actually kind of a controversial decision for black, because now I'm going to get the e file open. So I'm only down a pawn, and I'm about to play rook e1. Thank you very much. And thank you very much. Now I should be winning again. Good. Good. Oh, yeah, he's toast, dude. Now you play queen d2. Isn't g5 winning? Maybe he's got some knight h7. It looks abysmal. All right. Well, dude, you got to play king g7. You can't be letting me downtown. Well, now we're just going to take it. So here he's very low on time. Oh, right. And later he's going to agree to a draw. Just in general, put your bishop, like especially in time pressure, just put it so where it guards the knight. Okay. Good. I think he might have had better than knight d7. Draw. No way. No draw. No draw. Like king c2, bishop d3. No draw for you, buddy. No draw. No draw, bud. Okay, you had 10-second increment. You could have fought on there, bro. Okay, that was a good game. I don't think you had epic time problems, and it's got to be said, when you get to move forward and you're playing a tight game, you're gonna be in a little bit of time pressure. Okay. No draw. No draw. Stuart, thank you for being here. Okay, next up we got David Geo Holmes. He doesn't tell us anything, but he is working at it. Let's give him a follow here. He's also back after a long hiatus, also cranking. Show wrong button. Wrong button. He is cranking it over here, as you can see, since late December. Okay. Does he belong to some clubs? Not games, but bam. All right, this is Don Cast. I kind of like that name. I don't know what it means. So, this is a 30 plus 30, and in general, very important. We're going to cover this game, but in general, we want to cover games that are dojo approved. And so, at your level, 30 plus 30 is too fast. Too fast. The other thing I noticed right away that are important is I know that Lichess sometimes does this automatically, but I really don't like this. Basically, a lot of times Lichess, when you do a game, there's an automatic default setting where it just gives you that junk. And it doesn't help. It doesn't help. So you have to find if you're a Lichess user, you have to find the setting that gets rid of that. It kills me every time I see it. Now, again, I want to stress, it's not that using the computer is a bad thing, but it's a terrible thing if you use the computer without your own mind, right? All right. Poor move, poor move. Now, that one's probably, that's a standard trick you should know about, bishop f7. And both sides are playing too fast here. Knight d2, it's just weird, because even if you don't like e5, knight c3 just makes more sense than knight d2. Yeah, and you still had the e5 move, right? Okay, now you get a kind of standard Sicilian position. I don't like that. The knight on a5 is misplaced. Move your bishop back. Now you do it. And now he doesn't take it either. Yeah. So what we're going to say is I'm going to guess you just didn't see that was a fork. Notice all these annotations, they're not yours. They're the computer's saying stuff. Yeah. All right. Why aren't we taking on e7? There's some weird stuff going on here. Some weird stuff. And at this time of the game, you're thinking, as we can see from the graph. So, for example, you should tell us there was some reason you didn't do it, right? Or you could say, I didn't see it. You could say, here's a variation. I thought rook e7, bishop e6 was going to trap my business. Something. These people don't care. These people don't care about nothing. I was doing the Morphe group, which is our under 1,000 group, and they were hanging pieces left and right. And he was like, I just thought I could get it back. I'd get that piece back. Queen C6. All right. This is some bad chess, my friends. This is just bad chess. He's just hanging his coconuts all over the place. And why don't you ever take on E7? Do you got something against it? That's a nice move, though, huh? Then you take on G7 after all that? I would have thought we'd do Knight F6 or something. All right, finally, this guy resigns. So, two most important things. Yeah, fix that time, fix the Lichess stuff. And in the annotations, I appreciate it. You're new to the dojo and all that stuff. In your annotations, really try to give your own perspective. Once you hit the computer, it's going to be very hard to do so. Okay, again, it's fine to use the computer after you're done. Have your own thoughts first. Here we go. DM Liam added a game against Eric Gann for me to look at. Here's DM Liam. And DM, he's been crushing recently. So I remember DM Liam. He's graduated last week too. So we got a game against some dude named Eric Gann. All right. So here's we're playing one of these chumps that moving too fast. And it seems like we got an OTB game going on. All right, so let's go. Let's keep it open with the time, and we'll maybe yell at this guy, Eric Gann, for moving too fast. All right, fine move so far. Yeah, Knight C6 is in general, why not? I think you should just take it. The whole point is your bishop is poor over there. But you're doing fine still. Fine. Now you should probably take, well, I appreciate what you did. I don't understand that move. And now you need a plan. And given that he put his queen on C2, you're kind of all set up now to play B5, B4 with the minority attack. So I don't like that move. He should be thinking about Knight E5. He plays that weird move instead. Knight E5, he doesn't. Knight E5 finally. A little fancy. I'm not sure I get it. Now you take it. You guys are doing a little dance. Finally, B5. A5. Okay, I'm down with that. You say it's time for some invasion. A little home invasion. Queen A3, good move. Queen D1. And you say good defensive find, indeed. Let's go back just briefly. I'm just thinking if you can mess with him somehow here. No, so the problem is gonna Knight B3 you, right? Oh, it's a little bit of a bummer, honestly. So good move by your opponent. I don't like that move, though. What are we doing? He's not threatening to trap our business, right? So, like, Knight B6. I guess he could perpetual us then. But we're in potentially a little grief whenever he plays Knight C5. All right, now this was also terrible here. He should never allow you to take here, and you should have definitely taken there on C3. I don't know. If he plays Queen D3, it seems like he wants to play Queen takes C3. Queen takes B5, though. You definitely have everything to play for. You got all the chips. So rook c4. And now you do it. And now he resigns after rook c1. So queen c3. I was just analyzing a game between Geller and Karras this morning with the queen versus the two rooks, and the general rule of thumb here that I think kind of applies here is that if they can't organize it, there's weaknesses, and we don't really have weaknesses, then it's winning. And that's kind of how I feel this one's going to end up. Our knight's going to go to f6. We have the d4 pawn to talk to. It's not good. It's not good for our friend here. Yeah, the minority attack is for chumps, but actually there's three possible plans in that structure. The minority plan is one of them. When they have their queen on c2, it's calling out to us, though. It's calling out. Okay, good game, Diem Liam. Next up, we have Diane. She says, while this is a provisional rating, I would like to graduate and feel proud of my progress as the dojo program has taught me a lot. I had lost some games because of my poor time management, for example. Furthermore, going over the basics was very useful. I actually manually graduated myself once, so this is really a double graduation. I suppose I could give myself 2 badges, but I don't want to break the website. Jesse, if you look at one of my games, please look at the one between myself and a guy named Mark. Okay. That is if you do the grad show before 9/2. You mean, yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. This is a European that we're talking to. We do freedom dates over here. My chess goal is to become a FIDE master before I'm 30. This excellent training program has filled me with confidence and also filled my bookshelf. Okay, beautiful, Diane. Race to GM says, what are the 3 plans? So it's the Carlsbad structure, and you have the minority attack. You have let's just put it from Black's perspective. You have f6 to dominate e5 and maybe play e5 yourself. And then you have the plan, let's call it the Pillsbury plan of knight e4 followed by f5. You kind of have it right there. All right, here's Diane. So we're going to give Diane a follow. She is busy here in January. Got a very ambitious goal of making FIDE. I have no idea how old Diane is. That would be interesting. Diane, tell us how old you are. You're clearly in Europe somewhere. Tell us where you are, too. Okay, clubs. Dojo Queens, Vegan Dojo, Women's Dojo. Okay, it's out there somewhere. There's a guy named Mark in here. There he is. All right, Eccles. That sounds English, right? Let's just Google Eccles. Eccles. That's a fancy name. Oh, and immediately it took me from Eccles to Ecclesiastes. I don't want Ecclesiastes. I'm done with Ecclesiastes. It's a market town in the city of Salford in Greater Manchester. Okay, there, I learned something. Okay, so let's first question, and she mentioned that she has grief with time, and you can see here that she is moving too fast. So let's leave the time window open to see about some of her decisions. Fine. Okay. Fine. Fine. Slow, but maybe necessary. E6. This one, I'm not sure about e6. Why wouldn't we just castle? Okay, yeah, castle's got to be better. Okay, e6. And now b4. That looks weird. So what would the default move should be? Rook fe1. And now you go knight h5, which is a little weird. Now, if you don't like knight h5, Dan, you should tell us what you like. Personally, I don't understand why we're not castling. They told me that I should castle early and often. I also think a very safe move is just to take the knight on f3, because you don't want to even think about knight e5. Like, I get it. Maybe you're thinking knight e5 and knight d4 and you're very clever. But that bishop doesn't have a lot of squares to go to, you know. All right, so poor move. Now your knight's on the rim. Castles. And now they play h3. You take. And now you commit to e5. Now, yeah, this is very spooky here. You're moving too fast. Your knight has to come back. El Knighto has to come back. Now, you could also play, in addition to knight f6, you could consider queen c7, intending knight f4, also getting on the c file. Oh, this is fancy. Okay, so we're down a pawn. Bishops of opposite colors, important to see. You have knight f4 thoughts. So even though I disagree with this, it's interesting. It's fun. And now you go for it with rook takes c3. That's pretty fancy chess. So bishop e4 looks natural. Maybe rook fd1 is what white should have played, right? Followed by bishop f1. Excellent move. I don't know why you say it's a funky move. It looks pretty amazing to me. All right, now you play knight e2. And I guess what we're saying is we're missing queen, this rook c5 move. Because after knight e2, I'm not convinced we're going to crush this person. I'm just looking at a couple things here. Now, don't we have rook h3? It's funny. I was looking at it, and then I saw your note. Yeah, rook h3, exclam. So the thing here, okay, so here's the thing to yell at you for here, Diana. You've got loads of time, and what you should intuitively sense is that your opponent is really up against the rails. And if you play knight e2, then you probably don't have all that much, right? So the encouragement here in this position to think longer is that it's the moment. And there's all kinds of moves. And also somebody in chat just said knight h3 is also there. I hadn't even looked at that one. You know, that looks good to me. Dang. Yeah, also winning. So knight e2, too fast. And one of the things, actually, when you're dreaming about becoming a FIDE master, I would say it's a very long road because you have several hundred points ahead of you. But if the main thing you have to fix is just slowing down, well, then you got, then I can more imagine it, because that's something, it can be fixed a lot easier than other skills. All right, rook e8. Weird move, yeah. Now you play queen d4. Intuitively, the bishop, for me, wants to go to d4 to look at f2. f3, and then we go too fast. We think we're winning, and then we miss this one. It's kind of like he cheap-shotted you here, too. Mark Nightingale did, right? He trades off. Rook e5, that's a blunder. I hope you told him, check to the miserable king right there, buddy. Oh! Okay, so now we have to ask, how bad is it? All right, so rook e2. Now, I think there's strong arguments for rook e2. But first, we're going to try f4. Because rook e2, king f6, then f4, and then I think we're holding it easily. Now, at least, we get a weak pawn to play with. Good move. Good. Okay. Lesson of the game. Take your time. Okay. Poor move. So they don't understand endgames. Just, what do you got to do? Find some way to bring your king in. Good move. Good move. Good move. That wasn't it. Check to the miserable king. Yeah, buddy. Welcome to the dojo. So, Diane, that was a good fighting game. And I think, yeah, we've identified what your main problem is here. I also like that you outplayed this guy in the end game because a lot of points are going to be given that way. You see this guy, he can't think in the end game. He has no idea of what's going on. Very common. Very common. Okay, let's mark that as reviewed. And we got a couple left here. We got Mr. Spork. All right, thank you, Mr. Spork. And he's got a USCF 1483. We'll give him a follow. Just joined out there in North Carolina, which is turning into, surprisingly, a chess mecca. Tell us where you're from. Or Charlotte. He is in Charlotte. Good. Oh, look at that. He just joined Lifting Heavy Things. I can't tell you how many times I've seen this on the graduation show. It's a small club compared to other clubs. Look at that, 50 plus, got 212. Lifting Heavy Things only has got 54. But those are the guys, man. Those are the people that are graduating. Yeah, I'm going to do a vid on it. Yesterday's show, I asked AI, to break it down for me. And AI had some strong evidence, dude. All right, here's this recent game. Here's our time. You can do it. This is an OTB game. Let's go game review. All right. So this is Mr. Spork. So far, so good. Frisky. G5, very frisky, Spork. What are we doing, buddy? That's very frisky, Spork. All right, bishop e3. Now, is your intention, it would be good to talk about your intentions. Is your intention like bishop g3, f5? Is that what you want to do to the poor guy? Oh, it's very hot. And now he sees a disaster. Well, this is what happens when we don't bring out our coconuts. Dang, well, that hurt. Yeah. Well, Spork, moving quickly and thoughtlessly. So there it is for Mr. Spork. G5 is an interesting move. You got to realize that once you do that, it's going to get a little hot in the Spork. A little hot in the Spork. All right, so got a little hot in the Spork. So we'll move on to the next one. We got, Tired Runner is back. Now, Tired Runner was upset because of the successes of the Lifting Heavy. So he created his own Cardio Enjoyers Club. And you got to figure, a dude who calls himself Tired Runner because he's run himself ragged all the time, calling it Cardio Enjoyers, it don't sound like that much fun, do it? It don't sound like you're enjoying it, Tired Runner. It don't sound like you're actually enjoying it. No, it don't. Tired Runner says, wow, guess I had another quick graduation in me after all. Been really surprised. I thought this amount of progress would take like a year and not a month and a half. The dojo structure encouraging me to put in a lot of consistent work has really been effective. Now, just to put a pin in my thoughts here, I do think that doing cardio is definitely going to help you. And I have kind of evolving thoughts on the different ways it can help. But I am thinking that in terms of the brain, that cardio stuff is doing different things. This was the AI talking to me about strength training yesterday. It had all this stuff going on in the bone marrow and all this stuff. It was like, oh my God. So I am not advocating for just lifting. I think you need to do both. I think CrossFit or something like it is a great model if you want just fitness and also fitness for chess. Vid coming. Tired runner, though. I'm going to mention him in that vid. So look, clubs, cardio enjoyers. It's slowly creeping up. At first it was just one, and now we have 5. 5 have joined him. Well, Endgame Magician, in short, Endgame's asking how strength training helps. In short, the short answer is that it helps your mind, and there's like you're increasing bone density, and there's actually stuff that crosses the brain barrier that's hanging out in your marrow and all that. And it increases your executive function. So I think a lot of people would say, I want to be smarter for chess, but executive functioning is a massive thing for chess players. All right, let's get into Tired Runner. I'm going to do a vid on it. And, it's just me as a chess player. I'm sure there's, more scientific ways to do it. But, here we go. Now, I'm going to spend more time looking at this game than these guys did playing it. All right, let's just leave that open. To shame them. Well, to shame Black more than anybody else. Tired Runner did fine. All right. This is an interesting move, and this is a terrible move. Queen d3, I think I'm okay with it. Weird. They don't know how to develop. Good. Poor. They just have no sense of development. So I think bishop f4 looks really good. It's hard for me to criticize bishop f4. Very hard for me to criticize it. That isn't it, though. Yep, very nice diagonal. Just scooch on back. Just look at that thing. And now you just sink it deep inside of him. Don't talk like that, Jesse. You sink it. Sink it in him there. That's really brutal. And now you play knight d5. Yeah. So some rook to d1 certainly makes a lot of sense. But knight d5 is amazing. He's saying he misses this move here. So he's saying boom, 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 d6. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's a computer saying it's only, but to me, that's a winning position. All right. Yeah, this guy just gave up all his stuff. Oh, man, goodbye. So that's what happens when you face the Tired Runner. That's what you're going to get. All right, so beautiful. Tired Runner, congratulations. You're really moving it over here. And now we got Yuki. Yuki doesn't tell us much, so maybe nothing's going on with Yuki here. I don't know. They've done some stuff, but we don't know. He's in Agard's army. Do we got some games? Nothing. So Yuki, check out my latest video on the Agard puzzle method. And we got one more person. This is Bettolini with a picture of Portnoy there. I started following Dojo in 2022. And a few months later, after returning to chess, in 21, I began teaching children at my peak. Playing strength came back in 2014. When I got over 2100, later settled around 2050. Until 2020, I had spent almost 6 years barely playing chess at all. From 22 to 25, I trained in a scattered and unstructured way without a clear direction. Studied games, browsed through books, analyzed games from chess mood videos, but nothing truly systematic. And though I was putting in more than 10 hours a week, despite the time and effort, my progress was limited. In April 25, I had my worst performance at the Mexican National Open. That tournament was a turning point for me. I had reached a low point. Even though I was working hard every single day, my level dropped significantly. From that moment, I decided to stop being a spectator of the dojo and fully commit to the process. At the same time, I hired a coach with whom I have been working ever since. I soon realized that my biggest weakness, something my father, who was also my coach, had been telling me for over 10 years, was that I simply wasn't playing enough classical games. This guy's a genius. I made a clear decision. Throughout 25, I would play at least 80 games. Amazing. That's very impressive. Reaching that goal became one of my proudest achievements. I joined the many tournaments as possible. In June, just a few months after I began training with the dojo, I played an excellent national open. Then, in August, at the Aguascalientes Open, the second most important open in tournament in Mexico, I scored 5.5 out of 9 in the under 22. I defeated several players over 2100, and for the first time in a long while, I clearly felt an improvement in my playing strength and calculation. That was a powerful combination that I was finally on the right path. In December, I played in the Metropolitan in San Jose, Costa Rica, one of the most prestigious tournaments in Central America. Finished in 10th place in the Masters, ahead of several title players, and delivered one of my best performances to date, scoring 5 out of 9. Only 2 points behind first place, a GM from Egypt. I think I know, well, actually, I'm not convinced I know which GM it is. I played, this past summer, I played a GM from Egypt. Oh, I can't remember his name, but he's like a chess boxer. Yeah. I'd like to end this short text by expressing my gratitude to the senseis, and especially to Jesse. Thank you. His training philosophy and work ethic are the foundation of what I now try to replicate in my daily routine. Even though I am barely 30 years old, this journey and these small achievements continue to fuel my dream to go from being a national master in Mexico to becoming a Candidate master or a FIDE master. I truly believe that with consistent work and the support of this incredible platform, that goal is within reach. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, here we go. Bettolini from Mazatlan. Man. You know, I've played a little bit in Mexico. I feel like Mazatlan, that's a fancy place, dude. You know? Mazatlan, that's like where I feel like, I don't know, I just have a thing in my head that Mazatlan would be kind of a touristy place for fancy people, but maybe that's not quite right. Yeah, it's this ain't resort town and stuff. I should go to Mazatlan someday for sure, man. There we go. All right, so don't get distracted. Give Bettolini a follow. He's in this club. It should be a Mexican club, Bettolini. So if you want to make a Mexican club, I think that's what we should have. I think it's cool to have a Latin America club, but that's too ill-defined. Also, Augard's Army. Okay, so here we go. This is his games. Let's just look how many he's got here. He's got loads. Look at this. He's got some rapid player. We don't want that one. It'd be cool if we had somebody, one of these OTB games that he's got. This is kind of from a while ago, though. Let's look at this one. It's a little bit older, but let's look at this one. It's an OTB. He does have his times marked down. Beautiful. And he's playing FM, whose name I don't know. All right. I might have to do a little brushing up on my Spanish here. Sinaloa, that's right. This was my second time meeting Artur. Yeah, buddy. The first time in February in a chess tournament, a rapid tournament, that also happened in Mazatlan. At that time, I played d4, and he fought me with the English defense. Before that game, I had prepared a response for it. I believe that to prevent preparation, it was a decision. I was close to translating it really good the whole way through. But I don't know what plantear is. Fue que decidió plantear. I don't know what that one means, man. But I got pretty close, and it's been a long time. I would say my Spanish rating at one time in my life, I think I got up to a solid 1,000. And then now, through neglect, my Spanish has fallen down 700, 600, something like that. Triple click and right-click to translate. No, I can't do that. No, that's cheating. All right, here we go. So here we go. So good move, great move, and this is the old. I think of this as Kasparov's invention. It's a brutal system. And knight h5, I believe, like Ulf Anderson played this. It's a sad attempt to try to get out of the tension. But ultimately, this taking on e7, the trade is a good thing. Now, he mentions h4, but I just want to say the old-timers who invented this thing took on e7. Now, the drama is that you would like to play f3, but you're under this, let's call it constriction. All right, castles. And now you did a very fancy move, knight f4. That's a pretty spicy move. All right, I like your position, and I'm not sure about f5. f5 in general, like, what are we doing, buddy? Because I can win the f3, the e4 square. So what are you doing to me? what are you doing to me? And you just killed your bishop. And you gave me this square if I ever get there with sand knight. Knight f4, I think, was a pretty interesting decision because I think taking it, you were going to nail him with e1. Or I'm trusting you anyway that you were going to nail him with e1. Queen c2, g5, that isn't it. And now you do a fancy move here. And if that works, that's a very good move. Your opponent trusts you. And you say e4 would have been better, but it's hard to argue with rook a e1, my friend. That's a good-looking move. All right, so maybe clever working against this e4, and you play queen f2 after thinking a long time. Now, just for my cheap money here, king h1 looks pretty good, too. We should at least consider it. The advantage in development is such that I can sack a pawn. Yeah, okay, and white will be better. My Spanish is getting pretty good. All right, queen f2. h6 is not a happy move, I'll tell you that. Queen g3, and you say he's equal after this? No, there's no equality here. Did we? Maybe we really did blow it. In which case, queen g3 was a bad move. One of the bummers, by the way, okay, so in terms of your own chess progress, okay, you got various plans here, and unless something crazy goes down, you're killing him in this position. So the thing to recognize about queen f2, where you should feel bad, is that you're killing the knight, and the knight has a dream of doing this kind of thing. You also want to be sensitive to this knight. It's not clear how he's getting in yet. So queen f2 doesn't feel right. It feels like you're trying to force through e4 or something. And definitely you're missing this. I guess, you know, the idea of queen f2 is to play queen g3 because you can't do e4. So, okay, what I want you to see is that the problem here is you're doing great in this position, but you need to be sensitive to the fact that you got to fix these two bad boys. You got to fix them. So king h1 looks good, knight f2 looks good, knight e2 looks good. You know, your development advantage is so massive. Yeah, okay, so queen f2. This really helps him. That's unfortunate for us. And he didn't take. And he says, bishop h3 would have murdered my structure. Yeah, I think he should have done it. I think he should have done it. Now, are you better again? Hard to say. Now, definitely, this knight is our problem. If it weren't for this knight, it would be a different deal. And this looks real problematic with knight d3. And you say that the error that decided the game. With this move, the black's getting much better. I lose a pawn, and then I can't equalize. My chess Spanish needs some work, bud, but yeah. Now, anytime we do a question mark, we really need to say what we should have done. And this position, it's not easy to figure out, but intuitively, an intuitive move would definitely be like, well, we got to come up with a plan for this. And the other thing we should tell ourselves is, hey, our king position should long-term just be better than black's king position, right? Now, I'm just spending a little momentito here thinking about knight e2 and the way it would go down. I still like white, but it is a little bit spooky. Your goal should be, I'm going to waste this guy because his king is more denuded than mine, and I got to fix the knight. So again, sensitivity to the knight. That's mean. Yep. I mean, it looks real bad. Yep. Okay, but because his king is still a little bit open, you still have chances. That looks reasonable. You go back. Maybe you, it's a hard life, honestly. Yeah. Now he goes queen d6, logical. And now he trades it off. Okay. That's a reasonable looking move. And you say rook e8 would have been better. Yeah. You can tell with a move like b6 that he's in a little bit of time pressure. It's fine. You know, it's a fine move. But he's just going to sit on you a little bit here. Queen f5. You try to get spicy. Now, let's just say the obvious. If he's going to beat you, he has to nail these pawns down. And if you're going to beat him or get counterplay, it's with the king being poor. Right? So here we go. Boom. And then he's going to do you wrong like that. And then I guess we're lost. We're just totally done. Oh, nice move. Oh, simple chess. Okay. That was brutal. That was brutal. One of the things we want to say is you came out of the opening much better. And, you know, when you're playing an FM, I wouldn't say this is it's hard for me to call knight h5 a mistake because strong players have played it. But, you know, it's not the hardest. It's a little soft. I don't feel like maybe next time you play him, you can play h4. But, you know, the old timers took on e7. And then this one, I don't know, but I don't like it. And I thought knight f4 was a very classy move. Beautiful, beautiful move. I love these positions where the pawn goes to f4 and you get a nice dark square grip. One of the things that I will say before we end here is that at this level, sensitivity to poor pieces is really the thing that I see separating like you from, say, maybe this guy, right? So like this guy, we never fixed him. You know, you never fixed that dude. Foos Chess is asking about knight g3. I don't know about knight g3. He'll take, and then our pawn's a little funny. Maybe white's still better there too, but knight f4, if we trust black and say he's got to go back, then knight f4 is looking pretty good. Okay, you guys, I am out of here. That was fun. This was the Dojo Training Program. I'll be back next Wednesday. And this guy, Magana Morales, he's amazing. Welcome to the dojo. You know, if you want to get some lessons, you could message him there. I bet he would do some lessons with you. All right, so we're going to raid somebody.